Good evening and thank you for joining us. As teachers frantically prepare for the return to school in the coming weeks, Thunder Bay's two biggest school boards are putting together their final plans. The deadline for students to opt in or out has passed, and the boards have used this past week to finalize their numbers. Now, with a concrete idea of how many students will be in the classroom come September 8th, the boards have a better idea of what the classrooms will look like. Avery McRae has details.
The final numbers are now a lot more clear for opting in or opting out of in-school learning. For the Lakehead Public School Board, 825 elementary students and around 350 secondary students have opted for the online learning, which adds up to around 12%. The percentage is similar at the Catholic School Board, with 895 of the 7,500 total students opting out of the return, with 600 of those at the elementary levels. With the boards now knowing how many students will be in the classroom this year, Catholic Board Director of Education Pino Tassone plans to reduce the class sizes as much as possible.
We're looking at those numbers as we speak. We'll look at where the pressure points are in our system. We'll have to look at what space we have within the schools to look at reducing those numbers. So we're aware of some pressure points as we speak, so we'll probably be looking at either splitting those classes or moving them around in order to reduce the numbers. But that'll be a priority for us, is to reduce the numbers as much as we can.
Both boards have pushed back the start date for school from September 3rd to September 8th, with students returning in a staggered format, with junior kindergarten students from both boards holding interviews with staff and parents on September 3rd and 4th. The Lakehead Board will see half the grades return on the 8th and the other half on the 9th, and all students in class on the 10th. The Catholic School Board is following a similar approach. Lakehead Board Superintendent A.J. Keene explains why a staggered start is the right approach.
There have been changes that have come pretty regularly over the summer in the last few weeks, and so we've had to rework a lot of our thinking, a lot of our plans. Some of those changes have come from the Ministry of Education, some have come from better knowledge from the Thunder Bay District Health Unit, and so because some of them have come so recently, we've really had to rethink how we're opening our schools.
Earlier in the week, Premier Doug Ford urged school boards to tap into their reserve funds to fill in necessary gaps, whether that be hiring more teachers or adding PPE, something both boards plan on doing.
We'll use them wherever we can. We'll look at where the pressure points are. We may have to look at transportation. We may have to look at additional staff, not just teaching staff. We have to look at custodians. We have to look at all those pieces.
Cleaning equipment and PPE. We know the government has provided some funding for that, but it's very hard to say what we're going to need at this point. We've ordered enough for the first 4 to 6 weeks to get through, and we'll have to see how things go.
Avery McRae, TBT News.
The proposed indoor turf facility passed a big hurdle at City Council last week, but the battle is far from over as the project's doubters and supporters continue to lobby for and against it. The president of Thunder Bay's Chamber of Commerce is strongly against the idea right now, but officials with Soccer Northwest are pledging to fundraise $1 million to ensure it moves ahead. Corey Nordstrom has more.
The $30 million indoor turf facility has been a dream for Michael Viniziali of Soccer Northwest, and to ensure the project goes through, his volunteer group is looking to raise a hefty amount of dollars that can be used for added construction costs or to keep fees down.
Our goal is to raise up to $1 million. We know it's a high goal, but this project was a high goal for us and for the community. Going back many years ago, the first time we approached City Council was about 12 years ago when they liked the idea, but it was shelved.
A public consultation left city officials with a mixed bag of responses, and many assumed the project would be delayed by the pandemic. That was until the most recent council vote that saw a 9-4 vote in favor of moving ahead.
To me, I see this as the perfect time to build this facility because it's going to take 2 years for this facility to be built, and we'll be out of this by then. I'm always a positive thinker, and this is the best way, I think, in my opinion, that we can move forward and get people out there and start living their normal lives again.
Mark Bentz is tabling a motion for the next council meeting to push a decision back 3 months. And Chamber of Commerce President Charla Robinson says the business community thinks that's the logical next step.
You know, many of them had their own plans for expansions or improvements within their businesses, and they're saying, you know what, I can't move forward with this expense right now. Let's look at it in 6 months. And that's the same lens that we're asking the city to look at this decision. Let's look at it in 6 months or 5 months.
Robinson says building a large new facility at this point is a hasty decision with so many unknowns currently on how taxes will be affected by reopenings, especially when it's likely that businesses will close, leaving less of a tax base for the city to draw from.
Business owners own about 7% of the properties in Thunder Bay, but pay about 32% of the property taxes paid in Thunder Bay. So that's the context that they're looking at, knowing that they do pay a larger portion of the total tax bill. And we know that business owners are really uncertain about their own futures and what the long-term impacts of the pandemic will be on their business.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
The Ontario government is investing nearly $13 million into tourism improvements and other projects in Thunder Bay. Construction of a new access road at Fort William Historical Park has been underway for several months, but Tourism Minister Lisa MacLeod was in the city today to make the funding for that and other initiatives official. Michael Mohorovic has more.
Friday marked the end of a 10-week journey for Lisa MacLeod. Her lengthy tour across the province was to meet with industry leaders to see how the provincial government could help tourism businesses recover from COVID-19. And it culminated in this announcement.
It will be the largest investment we are making during this 10-week tour. And that's over $12 million for a capital improvement to develop a new access road to stream traffic flow and allow for larger events. We will invest in site rehabilitation to repair and maintain heritage structures throughout the fort, and will remediate and repair much needed assets due to flooding.
Aside from the money being used for the long-awaited access road and repairs, Fort officials don't have immediate plans for what's left over. The secondary entrance road is the main focus, and the extra money will be used to spruce up the road with lookouts and further additions.
We've had numerous large concerts over the years, big fireworks shows and so on, so we've had a lot of traffic congestion, so we're delighted and very pleased to have this money available to create that road. It's a great health and safety road that we need so that we have 2 access points into the property, so it's the overwhelming bulk of it.
An additional $1 million was announced for other projects in the region. The Public Library Board will receive over $220,000. Wake the Giant Music Festival will receive $25,000. And Our Kids Count Thunder Bay will receive over $330,000. The remaining funds have been spread amongst other projects. Michael Mohorovic, TBT News.
The minister responsible for FedNor made an online announcement today, $4 million in funds for 16 projects spread across Northern Ontario. The municipality of Sioux Lookout received the largest portion with $975,000 to expand water and sewer lines for the town's commercial development. In Thunder Bay, the Black Sheep Mountain Bike Club is receiving $450,000 to help construct and upgrade up to 40 kilometers of multi-use trails in the Trowbridge Forest area. Also, the city of Thunder Bay received $300,000 for upgrades to the Fort William Gardens to help with large-scale events like February's Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Minister Melanie Joly says the funding is meant to stimulate northern economies and help attract further investments.
We are here now, and we will continue to be there, as we know that we have to navigate, all of us, through these uncertain times, and that more than ever, the Government of Canada needs to be there for people to build back stronger.
Funding was also announced for Hornpain, Fort Frances, and the Kenora area. Joly says Minister Patty Hajdu will be making a similar FedNor funding announcement for her riding in the near future. And Thunder Bay police are investigating a serious hit-and-run collision on the city's north side, and the alleged culprit was also the subject of a missing persons investigation. The incident occurred around 10:45 Wednesday night at the corner of Beresford and Hill Streets. A red SUV crashed into this black pickup truck at a high rate of speed, and both vehicles sustained heavy damage. The male driver of the SUV fled the scene before police arrived. The female driver of the pickup was taken to hospital, fortunately with only minor injuries. Police have been able to identify a suspect but have not released his name. However, the victim of the collision has posted on social media that the person driving the SUV was 28-year-old Bradley Babcock, the same man city police issued a missing persons notice about yesterday. Babcock was located by police today and charges are pending. OPP responded to a single vehicle collision involving a tractor trailer this morning just west of Chappaqua. The incident occurred around 5 o'clock on Highway 11 at the Kashabawi River Bridge. The transport struck the abutments on the bridge, which is currently under construction and controlled by signal lights. The lone driver was transported to Thunder Bay Regional with non-life-threatening injuries. OPP say the investigation into the crash is ongoing. A dangerous situation for city police officers on Wednesday as they took a suspected impaired driver into custody. Officers were called to Brock Street following reports a motorist had been driving on the wrong side of the road. They arrived on scene to find an unconscious woman in her car with the vehicle still in drive and her foot on the brake. Efforts to wake the woman were unsuccessful and police eventually gained access on their own and put the vehicle in park. It was learned the woman had also been involved in a collision in the Frederica Street area and had fled the scene prior to being found by police. She's being charged with impaired driving and failing to stop after an accident. A proposed residential subdivision between Mountain Road and Highway 61 has some residents in the area concerned. They're launching a petition to City Council due to the increased traffic, congestion, and environmental impact from the development. The subdivision would have a total of 69 lots built on a large piece of vacant land behind the South Nebing Community Center. The developer, Shore Bay Estates, was not available for comment today. The plans include new streets entering off Highway 61 across from Mount Forest Boulevard and one off Mountain Road access across from Tuxedo Drive. The subdivision would increase traffic in the area, which some residents say needs improvement to the current infrastructure before any new development should be given the green light. The city is very early in the rezoning process and is now accepting feedback from anyone who may have issues with it.
We've heard other concerns about traffic. We've heard concerns about the existing shoulder on Mountain Road and it not being safe for cycling and walking. So right now we're taking all those concerns in at the moment and we're going to compile them at the end of this circulation period and we're really going to go from there in determining what is needed in order for this development to be brought to council for a decision.
It's understandable that people are expressing their concerns and I'm happy to hear them. Just want to make sure that people are expressing their concerns through the proper channels. So I mean, for residents that are concerned, they can express those concerns through the proper channels on via the notice of application.
The deadline for public feedback is September 11th. The hope is for this project to be brought to City Council before the new year, but it's very early in the process and will take some time to ensure the planning office has heard all concerns about the development. A pair of popular annual events in Thunder Bay are returning a little later than usual this summer and will have a vastly different feel than previous years. The 11th Annual Festival of India is just 2 weeks away and it'll be followed by the Festival of Colors. Both events usually bring thousands of people to Marina Park to celebrate East Indian culture and tradition in a fun environment. This year's version will be a drive-through style at the CLE grounds, which also hosted a drive-in concert earlier this month. Dr. Prashant Jani is the organizer of both festivals. On September 5th, cars will line up to watch musicians and dancers on a large stage while tuning into their radios to hear it. The Festival of Colors will then be held on September 6th.
Have performances on the stage every hourly. There will be color throw. So participants, they come out of their car, go to the left of their car, and whosoever is in the car, maybe 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, they throw the colors and they go back to their car.
The festivals will still have an array of traditional Indian food, which can be ordered online beforehand. Jani asked those planning to attend to check in on their Facebook page.
It was a really fun festival. I was there last year and it was amazing. Going to be a little different this year, but still awesome to see. Fiona, the weather today was amazing to end the work week before the rain comes, but I don't want to end on a sad note. It was nice today.
It was beautiful today. As far as I'm concerned, this is what summer is all about.